Well, today marks World Water Day and the focus is on the importance of water. This year's theme, Nature for Water, explores nature-based solutions for the water challenges we face in the 21st century.
To highlight this, the Worldwide Fund South Africa is focusing on the importance of caring for the natural systems that recharge the aquifers and dams that provide us with fresh water. And of course, this couldn't be more important as Cape Town's struggling through its third year of an unprecedented drought.
SABC News reporter Mariska Botha has more.
We're coming to you from the Silver Mine Dam, which is inside Table Mountain National Park. And we're here today with the Worldwide Fund for Nature, who is leading the charge in South Africa in celebrating World Water Day. But to speak to us a little bit more about that, we have Andrea Weiss of the Worldwide Fund for Nature. Good morning to you, Andrea. What is World Water Day all about?
Morning. Yes, it's an international day which is celebrated to highlight the connection between water and human need. And this year's theme is a very appropriate one for us because it's water, or nature for water, and that is very close to the work that we do. Water comes from natural areas and from high mountain areas like this in the Table Mountain National Park. So what the message we want to get across to people is we have to protect these areas if we are to provide fresh water downstream for people. One of the facts we like to share with people is that only 8% of the land provides 50% of the water, but very little of that land is actually protected. So we need to keep it clear of aliens, we need to keep it clear of pollution, and we need to actually really get the message. It's not because it's a beautiful spot, it's actually because our lives depend on it.
Well, South Africa is an arid country, and as you say, very, very little of our natural water catchment areas are preserved. Why do you think people do not know this? Do you think there's enough done to bring the message across and then to protect these areas as they should be?
Yeah, I think people living in cities are very disconnected from nature in many ways, and we have this saying, water doesn't come from a tap, because people, just like people think milk comes out of bottles and food comes out of packets, people think water is just magically appears in the tap, but they don't really understand that there are places where the water originates and that these areas need to be protected. So that's one of our jobs, is to try and really get that message across to people.
The Western Cape is experiencing the worst drought in living memory. Are there other areas where there are catchments that you are very concerned about?
Yes, there are catchments. We actually have a map, so people can go to our website and look to see where those catchments are, and they can find out where their water comes from. But there are catchments obviously in Mpumalanga, the Drakensberg, the Eastern Cape, the other mountains of the Western Cape, and they have a host of problems. Some of them are the problem of alien vegetation, which is very thirsty, it drinks the water. Natural vegetation, the indigenous vegetation, actually doesn't do that. It releases more of the water into the system. People also treat rivers with disrespect. You know, they pollute the rivers, they throw things into the rivers. In the cities, we have people actually putting oil, into the system and so on. So it's really saying to people, you've got to treat the way you treat your mother with respect, you've got to treat water source areas with respect.
The message here in the Western Cape, and particularly in Cape Town, has been, there has to be a new normal. What would you like government, or see government do to change this?
The new normal is really the message that we've been putting out, is that the long-term projections are that the Western Cape is going to be drier, and everybody, not just government, has to get on board and understand we are in the middle of a drought. Everybody's changed the way they're living. Everybody is trying to save as much water as possible, but we're actually going to have to internalize that and start to save water in extraordinary ways. We have to change our plumbing, we're going to have to change our homes, we're going to have to think twice before we do certain things, and I think it's really an opportunity to shift the way we think about those things.
Thank you very much. That was Andrea Weiss of the Worldwide Fund for Nature talking to us about World Water Day and the importance of changing our ways, but also preserving this very, very important life-sustaining natural source.
All right, and speaking of water,